this completely changed everything for me. And what was so amazing was that as soon as I started using it, it made a huge difference.
The question that is on the mind of everyone, I'm sure, is why should I listen to anything that Dr. J has to say about education and ways to improve education? Great question. Well, let me talk a little bit about my background. Obviously, having a master's and a PhD, as well as having studied at numerous schools up to that point, gives me a strong background in understanding how education works and what it takes to actually qualify and to get into a variety of higher education institutions. So that in and of itself is not enough.
But what I didn't realize is how it was going to affect every area of my life. So my my relationship with my kids is completely different.
I have practical experience as a teacher in many, many venues, teaching adults at adult schools, at community organizations, in senior centers, teaching at Cal to students who invited me in to give lectures, uh, teaching courses on personality type at Rotary clubs, at Lions clubs, for the Northern California Human Resources Association, being invited in to speak about how personality type understanding improves communication, helps to reduce the on site bullying that can happen even in businesses.
So I've seen bullying before, a lot of it. I've even been the victim of bullying. But this was so bad that it was putting patients at risk. And to make matters worse, some of the administrators were either aware or encouraging this bullying. And we used bank to resolve much of the bullying as well as bringing our unit together more as a team. And it really did change things.
How to improve sales and persuasive language by understanding personality types.
So had a good time?
Yes, we did. He was fantastic. I recommend that you listen to what he has to say. I've learned a lot today. Thank you.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thumbs up.
And I was like, man, where has this been all of my life? I could have used this 10, 20, 30 years ago.
I was invited to a police department in order to help educate them on different personality styles within the police department and how their personality styles are setting up the communication issues that they were having at the administrative level, how to resolve that. I've given talks on how to apply personality typing in the clinical setting and have applied it for over the past 8 years or more in my own private practice of natural medicine in order to better communicate with my patients, in order for them to better understand why I'm making the recommendations that I am.
Actually on the verge of being ready to walk out of that hospital and take a job in a different hospital. I dreaded going to work every day. I was in fear for my license. Using bank, she helped me to turn things around completely. The bank methodology helped me to turn things around completely. But I got myself a set of these bank cards, and I started coding all the staff members that I work with and started helping them with their communication issues at work as well, and some of the bullying that they were facing and some of the other issues. We're building better teams at work.
I've also studied a wide variety of other kinds of communication systems and ways to better understand how our brains work. The tendency toward our brains to want to search for negative experiences And by overcoming those negative experiences, the brain says, aha, I survived it. But instead, how important it is to twist that and to change that, to start teaching how to find positive experiences to balance out that negative bias that our brains have. I've written 2 best-selling books on the brain, one on dementia and one called Superbrain, Maximize Your Brain Health for Better Life, which goes through and actually explains different methods to enhance the working of the brain and to balance it. Balance the 2 hemispheres. Balance the creative side with the logical side. In my experience, I've worked with DISC, that personality assessment system. I've worked with you can see this book here, People, Pattern, Power. There are a variety of really very interesting ways to better understand the personality types of individuals, and that is the key to what I am proposing here, to educate teachers in a cooperative and interactive way, and potentially even families, as well as the students, to approach each other in a way that can also be anti-racist education by looking at a person from the colors of the 4 personality types. So instead of looking at skin color, it's like, okay, what is this personality type? Are they more action type? Are they more of the red, fiery kind of personality? Or are they more of the green, knowledge type personality? Or the blue, the cooler, calmer, the more fearful and risk averse? Or are they the yellow, the warm, the golden, the nurturing type, the ones who are seeking to have community interaction and creating teams? And finding relationships is an important part of their school experience, and as a way to actually succeed in their education so that they do progress and they do find the value in a higher education, in a post-secondary education goal to achieve that.
I code everyone. When I say code them, if you have been invited to take the personality test through the link, that will give you your 4-digit code. I'm a nurturer, action, knowledge, and then blueprint. So that tells me when I see your code how to best approach you. So I code everyone wherever I go, and it's helping me to communicate much more effectively.
I would like you to listen to the discoverer, the developer, and the founder of Bank Code Technologies, Sherry Tree, talk about how many people around the country and around the world are applying bank code very successfully for great results in schools and other environments where the current students are going to be interacting more and more in the future. They are going to move into business. They are going to move into the public sector. And it's very important to get them trained in skill sets that others don't have already so they can be leaders. Let's hear what she has to say.
We're going to show you how to use the bank codes in your personal relationships, and it changes all the dynamics. We've had people say this saved my marriage. This made me a better parent. It's prevented suicide. Like, we've got schools using it for anti-bullying campaigns. We've got church groups using it in the marriage ministry.
I know now why Sherry was invited to speak at the United Nations, because this technology really is bringing people together. It doesn't matter what industry you're in.
So effective in anti-bullying behavior. Fantastic. We need that in the schools, at least in many of the schools that I have substituted in. In the bank code system, the 4 personality types, we have 4 cards which we use in order to determine which personality types a particular person has and in which order. We have these 4 cards. They used to be much larger, and when I've gone into the schools, I've also used a printout of those cards and asked students to just prioritize them by writing a 1, 2, 3, 4 on the cards themselves. But this is the type of cards that we have that have the actual words on them. Uh, However, there are cards for younger children that have icons or pictures on them to better determine what their personality types are. Because unless you're well trained in this, it's very difficult to know exactly what the personality type is. And even Sherry Tree, who created this system, she developed these cards to better improve the accuracy of her ability to determine what the primary code is of the child in order to communicate more effectively with them and to teach them using an individualized approach. Let's hear what she has to say about the cards.
That's the ones for kids that have the pictures on it versus the ones with words that are the regular bank cards. Okay, so the icon cards allow you to crack the codes of kids. Why this is so powerful is because, like, I had my nephew and I thought he was an action first. You know, I'm an action. I thought he was action. He was playing sports. You know, I thought that we were like this, right? And he sorted the cards and he put the knowledge green one on top. And I'm like, what? You consider yourself a knowledge? Really? And I said, well, why do you do all these sporting programs and stuff? And he said, to make my dad happy. And I was like, whoa, that's deep, right? And this is where the relationship piece kicks in. Next week, we're going to talk emotional intelligence.
It's already improved my communication because I'm more appreciative now of different personality styles and how I can present information to them in a fashion that makes sense to them.
Let's just use a simple example. Isn't it interesting how many kids are being diagnosed with ADD, right? ADD. My philosophy, and I'm not a doctor, is that a lot of those kids are not really ADD. They're just action. They're action personality types, and chances are they're likely being coached or mentored or taught by the wrong code, a different code teacher. Actions have ants in their pants. They have short attention spans. They're very, very fast, and they get bored very, very quickly. So you have to communicate to them differently. You have to teach them differently. You have to mentor them differently. We have teachers who have applied bank in their teaching process. They coded all the students in their class. And then they began to instruct and give different homework assignments just based on what code the student is. That's the future of where this is going.
So personalization of lesson plans and interaction between teachers and students based on their personality type is a great component as far as improving the academic achievement the student has, but it's also helps to improve empathy and improve the whole emotional intelligence of the student.
Unbelievable things that are happening, because when you understand personality intelligence from today and the different codes, and then you apply it into emotional intelligence and human to human communication, it creates more empathy than I've ever seen before. And this is the bigger purpose of why we're really here.
It is now time for me to shock you a little bit and use one of those words that it's a 4-letter word that many people repel at, and yet it is so basic to life. And it is SALES, sales. Now, the truth of the matter is academics is sales. School is sales. Getting students to enroll and to get on board with studying is sales. Almost all communication has a certain component of sales to it, and yet the word sales has a dirty connotation. People don't want to talk about, well, I'm going to talk about now. And if it turns you off, then you should just shut this off. But the fact of the matter is that every student in some manner or another has to sell themselves all day, as teachers have to sell themselves and their subject all day. They have to sell good behavior. They have to sell fun. Well, it may not be that difficult to sell fun, but convincing and encouraging students to be on track, to not abuse their bathroom privileges, things of that nature, it's all a matter of sales. And the better one can communicate in this style, in the personality style of the other individual, the more likely your persuasive efforts are going to be rewarded. And so this is a key component because the bank code system was first created to improve sales. And then it became more and more apparent how relevant it was to other human relationships and improving relationships at a lot of different levels. But so if you're a little afraid of using the word sales in an academic setting,
Sales is one of those necessary things for business, right? If people stopped selling, the world economy would come to a halt. And we see that due to COVID. When the government said you'd have to close your business and stop selling, people went out of business, right? You couldn't even go to stores and buy things. You couldn't go out to eat. Restaurants are folding left and right, bankrupting right in front of your eyes because no customers, no business, no sales, right?
I think you are in denial because colleges are selling themselves. And in the shelter in place thing, people having their classes online and paying the same tuition for online when the group aggregate studying together, studying it live has been a key component for the forever in human history, and it's that social bonding, and people are paying the same amount. I mean, I have a daughter who's going to UC Davis. Another daughter is doing a master's degree right now. It's all online. And if you don't think people have to have bought in to the program in order to pay good money, significant money, and still have online versus in-person educational environment, well, anyway.
So I'm a lot more empathetic now to the different personality styles than I had been in the past, even though I've worked with a number of different assessment tools. This is the only one that's based on the science of buying and hence the science of influencing. Because if you know how somebody likes to make buying decisions, what resonates with them, what their values are, then you can deepen that conversation really, really fast. Also, though, it does help you to connect much more resonantly and quicker. So it's already helped me to have more yeses in my conversations over the past few weeks.
Let's have Sherry Tree talk a little bit about this persuasion that is improved by the use of personality typing.
So sales is a key piece of success for you financially. And then, of course, emotional intelligence is the piece that impacts the family and the human dynamic.
So at this point, I believe I have discussed a number of reasons why this program is very appropriate and can be very helpful for your school, for the school system, for the students, for the teachers, the faculty, the staff, and for families as well. But let's talk just a little bit more about my background to give you an idea about the cultural diversity experience that I have from not only working in my own clinic with a widely diverse patient population and client population, but also the travels that I've done around the world and my Japanese translation for many years, and my practice and study of other languages that I have not perfected yet. So I've also studied abroad. I've studied in Mexico, Spanish in Mexico. I've studied in Japan. I spent 3 years in Japan as a foreign student studying Japanese and other subjects. I translated Japanese professionally for 8 years and also part of that for the National Cancer Institute. So my experience in understanding foreign languages and actually trying, Spanish was the second language that I studied in middle school. I did so badly on the achievement test. I ended up taking Japanese in college, which was a remarkable twist of fate, which took me to Japan as well. So Japanese became my second language, and then while I was in Japan, the second time I could take any classes I want as an assistant professor at Waseda University, a very prestigious private university in Tokyo. I can take any classes I want. So I also decided to go back and take Spanish to learn, to get the feel of how individuals studying a second language, a foreign language, felt. And I actually dropped out of it because it was too difficult for me to sort out the Spanish from the Japanese. Every time I wanted to speak Spanish, I could speak a little bit, but then all this Japanese would flow up into my head. So I understand the internal feelings and the internal issues and the challenges that occur when someone is learning a new language. So I feel like I'm quite empathetic in that fashion. But bank code, which is blueprint, action, nurturing, and knowledge, 4 personality types, each has a different way of learning. And it is actually a different language that we use with each different personality type. And this is what I am proposing that I share in a training with your staff, with the with the teachers, administrators, and also with the students. Now, I have done substitute teaching over 2.5 years, most recently. I also did it when I first moved to California in the mid 80s. I did it for about 6 or 8 months then. So I have this understanding of the difference, a 35-year difference between the school systems back then and now. And as a substitute teacher, I have worked in more than 50 different schools, 50 different elementary, middle school, and high schools around the Bay Area. And believe me, I have had very different experiences at the different schools. I've worked in schools that I marked down that I could not handle, that I would never go back to because it was I could not control the situation sufficiently to make it a good educational environment for the young students. Sometimes I could, but other times it was just completely out of control. And as a substitute, of course, these are more challenging than for a regular teacher who is there day in and day out and who actually knows the students more carefully. But one of the things that is very clear is that in the bank code technology, individuals who invented this system have found also in working with a lot of the coaches like myself that people are and teachers are applying this in the school settings and able to tailor the classroom assignments and their approach to the different students based on their personality types, which creates much more student engagement. And if you have student engagement in the educational process, they are more likely to appreciate and to actually want to continue in the formal educational system, like in college. And that is the goal of most of these schools, particularly the charter schools, to actually be college preparatory and to create students who are already have the skill sets, the mindset, the personality, and the maturity to be able to apply to colleges, to be accepted, and to complete that very rigorous and very challenging environment. At the same time, bank code has also been used in anti-bullying trainings in different schools. So that is also something that I have to offer to your school. And people often say, well, bank code was created for sales. Yes, it was created for sales, but each individual is constantly using their communication skills to try to unlock the secret code of other people's thinking and languaging in order to better understand them, so that if you want the other person to do something for you, or if you want the other person to do something with you, you have to be convincing. You have to be able to speak in a way that you will get across to them the fact that they want to do something. You can't force most people to do things unless it's in a corporeal way. And that is not the philosophy of the schools that I have worked for as a substitute teacher, or of the schools and the systems that this training is for. And it does not work for even the penal system very well, forcing people to do things they don't want to. So actually understanding the languaging pattern of the teacher, and how the, as a teacher, one has to adapt one's languaging, and you all know this, but you have to adapt your languaging to the student to get the message across.
And so it's like I had this giant blind spot on how I was relating to others and how I was being perceived by others.
And if you understand the personality types of the students, one can change language that resonates more with the student and lands more effectively, and thus helps to motivate them, or at least shift them a little bit, so that they are more inclined to want to study. There's a lot, educational theory is a huge, huge arena, and there are many different approaches to that. But here in this particular training that I am offering, based on personality types, there can be major breakthroughs for teachers themselves as well as teacher-student interaction.
Everyone else in the room, they kind of understood what I had yet to find out. So that was a lesson for me. But here's the thing. The training was amazing.
Academically proven efficacy of changing languaging patterns based on bank code. And I'm very happy to have a conversation with you about how I think we can adapt that to your program and make it engaging for everyone involved, for all the stakeholders, and based on my experience in numerous settings as a trainer on personality types, and the excitement that's generated in the group by better understanding themselves and then better understanding other people and practicing languaging patterns.
And the managers now come to me and ask me questions about how better to communicate with a particular person, about how to build better teams within their units and be more cohesive, work more smoothly. They come to me about how to de-escalate situations with different personnel.
I think I can help make an even better program that is going to have greater success with the students in engaging in a college-oriented mindset and motivation. And so interspersed in here, I have the testimonial and the statements by Sherry Tree, who is the woman who discovered this system and has developed it, so that you better understand how this is being applied in countries around the world, and by many hundreds of trainers and coaches in many different settings, and both the school level as well as the outside world level, because preparing students to more effectively communicate with adults and in the work setting is also a major goal that I'm sure your school is interested in providing skill sets for students. So thank you for your time. I look forward to hearing you about my training program.
We thought, what better time? We can't do anything, so let's reassess our business and see what's missing. And really, you know, we have a great business, but there's, you know, there was a missing link. There was something that just wasn't there.
Hi, I'm Sherry, founder and creator of the bank methodology, and I want to do a special promotion for Dr. J.
So here to help is Dr. Sordean. Good morning.
Dr. J has been a longtime client and now one of our certified and licensed trainers of the bank methodology. He can teach you the secrets, the science, and the system to supercharge your sales and improve your relationships in less.
Looking at the top experts in the field, so please, I would encourage you just to pay attention.
It changed everything. I have two teenagers, 17 and 19. It made me a better mom, a better parent, a better friend, a better girlfriend. It helped with every area, and that is priceless.
Relationships are a big plus, an add-on to why this system is a wonderful game changer for me.
It's going to be an amazing class, so don't miss out.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. Once you've used it, you're never going to want to be without it.
It's improved my empathy level.